So The Athletic did a fan survey of Ryan Day, Urban Meyer, and approval ratings. And I'm fascinated by this kind of stuff because getting the pulse of a fan base is one of the most important things you can do as not just a beat writer, but athletic department, as head coach, any of these things. So getting to understand what things look like when they're going well and what things look like when they're going bad at the high Power 5 level is interesting to me. So they got more than 1,000 responses. And Ryan Day is getting absolutely just raving reviews. 89.9% of people, nearly 90% of people that took the survey, rated Ryan Day's job performance at Ohio State so far as 5, as in 5-star. Like, that's the highest ranking that they could give, 0 to 5. Only 10% thought he was doing a 4-star job. And then 0.3% gave him 3 stars. So nobody thought he's doing a bad job. And you know what? There's no argument that he is, right? There really isn't. Since stepping in for Urban Meyer, he just led him to wins. He's got 1 loss on his resume as a head coach, and that was to Clemson in the Fiesta Bowl. In a game where if there's a fumble where somebody called an incompletion, you talk about a different ball game. In a game where if Chris Olave does not break off his route, you're talking about a different ball game, right? The way that he was able to transition from Tate Martell to Justin Fields cannot be understated. It was not always going to work. It was not always going to be lauded. And you could see Tate Martell not only did not play quarterback at Miami when he transferred there, they had him playing more wideout than anything else. Meanwhile, Justin Fields makes the Heisman finalist list and is at the ceremony in his only year as a starter. 41 touchdowns, 3 picks. Outstanding season for them, right? They rate Ryan Day's game day performance as a coach as a 5-star at 76%. So 76% of people think he's excellent on game days. And you know what? Again, where's the argument that he's not? They've been in every ball game that they've played. They've destroyed Big Ten opponents. I mean, everybody kicks the crap out of Rutgers, but they were just styling on Maryland. They were able to run the ball down the field on the opening drive without a single pass play against Penn State, who was an 11-win team, won the Cotton Bowl, and had an All-American at linebacker in Micah Parsons. Outstanding job. He's been outstanding when it comes to evaluating the staff as well. I mean, Jeff Hathley in the 1 year takes them off of Greg Schiano difficulty, and they go to just destroying people defensively. Outstanding, right? They rate the state of the program at 92.7% for excellent. 92.7% of respondents said it's excellent. And again, where's the argument that it's not? Julian Fleming, the best non-quarterback defensive lineman in the 2020 class, signed with Ohio State, right? Even as you lose Marcus Crowley to injury, even as you lose your starting tailback to a blown Achilles, right? Even as you're probably going to break in more guys at that defensive back position than you feel comfortable with right now, still put the state of the program at 92.7% saying 5 stars. That's ridiculous. All but one voter had at least a 4 when they were looking at these. That's, And then describing the program. Some of the things that people were saying about how they feel about Ohio State that call themselves Buckeyes fans are the things that you would dream of someone saying about your athletic program. I think it's in tremendous shape, right? At this point, with the talent on the roster and the recruiting success so far, it's hard to imagine them not being a serious college football playoff contender for the next few years, all while dominating the Big Ten, which is where this really has gone for Ohio State. In the way that people talk about Oklahoma in the Big 12, we're beginning to talk about Ohio State that way, if we haven't already, right? Dating back to when Urban Meyer took over as head coach and winning a national championship. It is Ohio State's conference, and everybody else in it is just playing, right? You can't even say that they're not being challenged, though, because Wisconsin has been a top 25 team. Penn State, top 10 team. Michigan, top 25 team. Minnesota came out of nowhere, be a top 10 team. Iowa, always in it. Michigan State, they're going to be back we hope, right? It's a deeper conference than the Big 12, and Ohio State is making it look easy. And you can see what that translates into when they get into the playoff and what translates into for Oklahoma when it gets into the playoff. I thought Ryan Day winning a national championship was also an interesting question. They said 97.6% of people who responded believe that Ryan Day is going to win a national championship at Ohio State. Not a small thing, right? I don't even know that you would get 95% of people saying that Lincoln Riley will win a national championship at Oklahoma at this point, having 3 opportunities so far to get it done and hasn't, right? And each time seems like he's getting further and further away on the scoreboard, okay? And then this one. With Ryan Day as coach, I feel Ohio State's chances of winning a national title are blank as they were under Urban Meyer. 59.7% of people said just as likely. Believe that Ryan Day is just as likely to win a national championship as Urban Meyer. And again, I submit to you, where's the lie? You know, right now, you feel better about Ohio State than you do any other program not named Alabama or Clemson, and that's only because Alabama and Clemson have won national championships in the past 4 years. Right? Nobody thought that in 2020, Ohio State's regular season record would be worse than 10-2. Nobody that voted in this poll. 58.9% of people believe that they're going to go 12-0. Right? And they got Oregon on the schedule this year. Everything goes as it should. That'll be interesting. And they got to go to Eugene for that game. I'm excited about it because I think Mario Cristobal's squad is talented. They're young, but they're talented. And then, who is your favorite Ohio State head coach of all time? Always an interesting question to ask for any fan base. Urban Meyer's getting 40.3% of the vote. Jim Tressel's getting 35.4%. Woody Hayes getting 14.9%. Then Ryan Day getting 7.7%. Earl Bruce getting 0.7% of the vote. It was interesting, man. Mayberry, it's getting difficult to bet against the Ohio State, but do you think that they win a national championship in 2020? Yeah, I'm with you. I think they're super talented, but they also have an outstanding staff. Like, knowing that most people's favorite current assistant coach is Larry Johnson tells you a lot, right? Larry Johnson Sr., defensive line coach at Ohio State, who's just been churning out kids, man. Both the Brosa brothers, Chase Young, Zach Harrison is going to be a monster. And then Brian Hartline, receivers coach, right? Getting 32.6% of the vote. And I thought that was interesting because Hartline is probably the best recruiter of anybody on that staff right now. And then Tony Alford only getting 1.1%. I'm going, wait a second. Tony Alford gave you J.K. Dobbins, you know? Like, come on, man. What are we doing here? Kevin Wilson getting 1.2% of the vote, and Kerry Coombs getting 17.5% of the vote. Now, I thought it was that tells you a lot, right? That tells you your fan base is very smart and that they know how hard it is to not just secure defensive line talent, but to raise it up. Ask any Oklahoma fan that calls themselves just died in the Crimson and Cream, and they will say the same thing. Where are the 5-star defensive linemen? Show me the 5-star defensive tackles. Show me the 5-star defensive ends. Like, hey, man, they signed the number 1 and number 2 junior college defensive tackles in the country in the 2020 class. Yeah, show me the true freshmen. just unrelenting, right? And that's what you expect from your fan base. And that's what I recognized in most Ohio State fans is they expect to be there. And they expect their coaches to be there. And Ohio State coaches, and this is Ryan Day and Urban Meyer saying this, they go into the game, Ohio State, Michigan, just looking for relief, right? They're not necessarily looking to win. They're looking not to lose it because they can't stand the idea of losing that game because life for them is just going to be horrible. And that place takes that game so seriously. I don't even think Michigan takes that game as seriously as it should. Because the way that the community around Ohio State gets into that thing and just marks out all the M's and everything and refuses to mention that school by its name. We don't even have that in OU, Texas, right? No, we don't have that in the Egg Bowl. Don't have that in the Iron Bowl. It's just Ohio State, Michigan, and Ohio State needs to win it way more than Michigan needs to win it. Or more to the point, Ohio State can't lose it in the way that Michigan can lose it. Fascinating poll. Fascinating.